Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. So this video, I put a poll on my Instagram like a couple days ago, and it was like what videos you guys would like to see. And the most requested one was what I read in 2021. So I thought I'd do that. So I'll get started with the first book. So I did not read until I went during summer. I went on a trip and I really wanted to take a book to read on the plane, and I saw this book on TikTok and I was like, why not just buy it and go for it, you know? So the first book that I read was this one, The Midnight Library. I love this book. If you're trying to get into reading, this is a book. It's such a good life lesson, and it just teaches you a lot. So I'm gonna go to my notes because I have notes from each book. So this one is about this girl Nora, and she goes through some life problems, you know, the usual. And she between life and death, there's this library called the Midnight Library, and it's basically you have the opportunity to choose any book you wish, or any life you wish you lived or were in. So it gives you a bunch of chances to go into each one and decide whether she likes it or not. But I don't know, at the end of the book, it's a really good life lesson. It just teaches you a lot. I really liked it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. The next book I read was this one, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. I don't know, both of these were really good, just life lessons overall, and I really liked them. This one's a shorter read. I gave it a 5 out of 5. So it's about this guy Eddie, who works at an amusement park. He was a veteran, and he's I want to say 82, 86, around that age. And he just works at the amusement park, doesn't think he doesn't have anything in life going for him. He's just really down all the time. And on his birthday, he's working at the amusement park, and this girl is on a ride, and she's falling down. So he goes under the ride, and he doesn't know if he saved her or not, but he goes to the afterlife because he died. And basically in the afterlife, he meets 5 people, which either are for him are really big parts of his life, or completely strangers, have no idea who they are. Each one of those people teach him a lesson, and they tell him the why they were in his life, what that he did. I don't know, it's just a really good book, and I said, it's really short, so I do recommend. The next book I read is, okay, so after I got these two, I got really into reading, so I bought a Kindle on Amazon. I don't know where it is. I think it's in my purse. I take it everywhere I go. It's literally the best decision I did. Buying that Kindle I love it. So the next book I read on my Kindle was Spanish Love Deception. So I saw this book I think on TikTok too, but I personally, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I liked it but didn't love it. It's about Catalina and Aaron. So they both work in New York, and Catalina's from Spain, and she has this wedding to attend to, which is her sister's wedding, and she needs a date. And she was talking to her family, and she said she was gonna bring this really hot American boy, you know, so I guess when she was on the phone with her family, Aaron heard it, which they never really got along when they were working together. So it's kind of odd when he was oh, I'll go with you, so at that point she was I have to say yes, I have no one else to go with, I'm either gonna have to lie to my family or tell them the truth, so she ends up lying to them, and she ends up going with him. And at first it was kind of but then as time went on, they got along, and the family absolutely loved this man. So, and yeah, it just progresses, and I liked it but I didn't love it. So yeah, that's pretty much what it's about, and then the rest is for you to read. But yeah, the next book I read is, I read the Crossfire novel. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but my mom recommended it to me. It's about Gideon and Eva. And I really liked it, but the only thing is it's really long. It's 5 books, so it took me a while to read, but once I got into it, I was just like, let's go, let's keep reading, you know? But I liked it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Like I said, it's just really long, but it's just about, they work together, and he's the boss, and he bumps into her one day, and then ever since that, he really liked her, but she wasn't really into it. But then they just started hanging out, and then it just goes on and on. You guys need to read it if you want. I don't know, it's really long, but I liked it. The next book I read was All We Ever Wanted. So I think I saw this one on TikTok, and it's about Tom, who's a single dad, and he works a bunch of jobs to support his daughter Lila, and she got into this private school, and he was always really strict with her, didn't let her do anything, but as time went on, he saw the other friends, you know, they could go out, do whatever, so eventually it got easier, so she was able to go out more. So one night she went out, she said she was going to her friend's house, but she ended up going to a party. She got really drunk, and their friend had to call the dad to come help, all this happened. And then the next day there's a picture posted of her, which she started freaking out, didn't know what to do, the dad found out, all this happened. And then yeah, I mean, she went to a private school, so they all started freaking out. I don't know, I personally didn't love it. I didn't like it. I gave it a 2 out of 5. But yeah, it's kind of that's the main idea, and then it just goes on, and yeah. So the next book I read is 1,000 Boy Kisses. So this book, it's about Rune and Poppy. I'm pretty sure it's her name. Yeah, Rune and Poppy. So Rune ends up moving next to Poppy's house, and they met one day outside, and really young, and start hanging out every day. But as they get older, you know, there's obviously a connection, but he ends up going to Norway, which is where his family's from. And obviously he was young, so he had to go with his family. And they emailed every day, they called every day, until one day Poppy just completely disappears, doesn't call him, doesn't email him, because of X reasons, which you guys will find out in the book. And he ends up coming back next to Poppy, next door to Poppy, and they start talking again. He finds out why she completely ghosted him. I really liked it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. And yeah, it's so good. I loved it. The next book I read is The Love Hypothesis. I saw this book on TikTok. So it's about this girl Olive, who's trying to convince her best friend that long-lasting relationships exist, and love. And she's with her best friend, and she goes up to this random guy and kisses him to show her that she's dating him, or something like that. And she doesn't know that the guy she kissed is a professor at the school, and everyone knows him. So obviously she was either gonna say she lied about it, or she didn't know what to do. So she went and talked to the professor, and he was okay, I'll go along with it. So they end up going to social events. I think they get coffee once a week, to pretend they're hanging out, all this stuff. And then eventually they had the science convention that they had to attend to, and Olive didn't have where to stay, so he's you could just stay with me, go sleep in different beds, you know, nothing's gonna happen. But stuff does happen, and things progress, and then I don't want to spoil you guys too much, so you should read it. But yeah, like I said, I didn't love it, but it's a good read. The next book I read is Gone Girl. I gave it a 4 out of 5. So it's about Nick and Amy, and they lived in New York. Like Amy's family was super rich, like always like supported them, but Nick felt like he wasn't doing anything, like he didn't have a job. So he's like, why don't we like move to Missouri, where my family's from? And not my family's from, but like where I grew up. So his sister lives there, and they're like, all right, like we could start a bar. Like, so him and his sister started a bar, and then Amy's like at home like doing nothing, like just bored all the time. And like, he would get home like super late, and on their fifth year anniversary, he gets home and like the door's open, like everything's like broken, like he had no idea what happened to her, like. And then as time goes on, like the police gets into it, and like they can't find her, like they think he did something to her, like all this stuff. And then yeah, it just goes on, and then they're like finding her, they can't find her anywhere, but like he just seems like super chill, like why isn't he freaking out, like all this stuff. So yeah, I liked it. It's good to read. I gave it a 4 out of 5, like I said. The next book I read that I absolutely loved is called Love and Other Words. I completely love this one. So it's about Macy and Elliot, who grew up together. They did everything together, but one day like something happens, and they just stop talking to each other. And years after years, they bump into each other at a coffee shop, and like he can't stop thinking about her, like she can't stop thinking about him. So they meet up and like talk. So it's basically like a book that just goes like from now to before. So it's just like back and forth, and it's just like crazy. I don't know, I really liked it. It's crazy because it's like when they first bumped into each other, they both had like significant others. So it's a good read. I liked it. I gave it 5 out of 5. I liked it too because it's like such a simple read, but it's a good read, you know. So yeah, that's that. Then I read Ugly Love. So I gave this one a 5 out of 5 also. These are all my Colleen Hoover like books that I absolutely loved. So it's about Tate and Miles. Miles meets Tate at her brother's apartment, and they have like, they're not really considered like friends, or like they're just acquaintances, you know, that like know they have a connection but like don't want to admit it. But eventually they end up like talking, and he's like, I don't want love, and then she's like, great, but I don't have time for love, so like, you know, agreed. So they make this agreement where like they'll hang out, but like nothing serious. And eventually, you know, they can't keep up with that, and so I don't know, it just goes on, and then like eventually like it's not working out, so something happens. And then I really liked it. You should totally read it. I don't want to like say too much so you guys can actually read it and enjoy it. I give it 5 out of 5. The next book I read is November 9. I love this book also. So it's about Fallon, who she was in a fire at a really young age and has like scars all over her face and her body, and she wanted to be like on Broadway, and she couldn't because of, you know, what happened. And her dad's like really negative about it, and like doesn't like, you know, like, yeah, maybe you could do it. Like, no, he's just like, you can't do it, like you're not gonna be good at it, like. So whatever, she like decides to ignore that and is gonna move to New York, you know, pursue that dream. And she's like talking to her dad, and the guy behind her is like, why is he being so rude to her? Like, so he sits down by her and like pretends he's her boyfriend, and they end up like talking afterwards, but they're both like moving the next day. So they end up like agreeing that they're gonna meet once every year, November 9, for the next 5 years. So it's just like really good, and once they like meet up every year, it's just like, I love it. And then, so yeah, that's like pretty much what the book is about. I give it 5 out of 5. The next book I read is Verity. So it's about Jeremy and his wife Verity, who they get into a car accident, and she ends up like really bad. And so she's at home like in a bed, like can't finish her books. So Jeremy goes to New York and like searches for someone to finish her book, and he ends up finding someone. And as it progresses, like she like notices that Verity like moves or like looks, and like they're like, how? Like there's no way. And then Jeremy like looks into it and like finds something out, and then like as the girl's like trying to like write the novel, like in the office she's like finding more and more stuff. They're like, what the heck, like how'd she get this, like, or like what happened here, like all this stuff. So I liked it. I give it a 5 out of 5. And the next book I read is Confess, also by Colleen Hoover. I give it a 5 out of 5. So it's about Auburn and this guy who, so Auburn she moves to Texas for X reasons and works at a hair salon. And this one night she's walking home and like sees that there's an art gallery for tonight and they need someone to work. So she's like, oh, like why not? So she goes in and the guy's like, I'll give you $100 for tonight. Like, and what they don't notice is there's like a connection there. So she works there and then like they go out and stuff happens, and then like she's just like really into it, but there's also like other reasons why they can't be together. So, and then he like completely disappeared, and then they like meet up again. I don't know, it's just really good. I gave it 5 out of 5. So yeah, that's, and then I'm currently reading the book Hopeless by Colleen Hoover also. I started it like not a couple weeks ago, like a week and a half ago, but I started I don't know, I just thought it was really slow, so I haven't like read. And then yesterday I read some more and I kind of got into it a little bit more. But yeah, those are my reads for 2021. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video, and like please comment below what videos you guys would like to see next, because I need some ideas. And yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.